Hard Knocks debuted the 2021 season last night on HBO. I watched it, featuring America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny, this morning, USA Today had a headline, 5 takeaways from Hard Knocks. I started reading it. I'm like, what am I reading this for? I don't need your 5 takeaways. I got a couple. Number one, I was not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I think people that watch this show know that. I'm less of a Dak Prescott fan coming out of watching this show. What a whiner. What a whiner. Look, I understand you want to take every rep. I get it. You can't take every single rep. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was very upset
that he couldn't.
That he was pulled early in this training camp a couple weeks ago because they want to give the backups some work. Danny Bonaducci, the backup quarterback. Well, Ben DiNucci is his name, but I call him Danny Bonaducci, which means nothing to you, do you? He's the star of the Partridge Family. Anyways, that was one. Dak, come on, stop whining. Let these other guys have some work. And then, of course, he ends up getting hurt. 2, the biggest one was Jera. When he was talking to the team, I thought it was the head therapist. You said it was the team doctor.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah. So he's writing with an HB pencil these notes on Dak, talking with the medical staff on the phone. And we all take away different things. But my thing was this. He's eating a McDonald's Egg McMuffin, Jera Jones. And people are saying, well, what's odd about that? He's worth $7-8 billion. How's it he not have a Red Seal chef at his ready? You know, here you go, Mr. Jones. You know, with his choice, an omelet station.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Benedict or something like.
Right. An omelet station, a guy cutting a roast at the end of the table. Jerry, when you're done with the trainer, we have your choice here of ham, roast beef. Do you want that in your omelet, Mr. Jones?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Producer Clark just said in my ear, a wonderful Monday. It's a wonderful Monday, and indeed it is, because it's a brand new day. We've got a very special co-host lined up. We're going to get to him in seconds. I'm going to tell you coming up on the program today, a couple of guys you know well. Our football analyst, Jeff Reinbold, will be joining us from Sky Sports NFL coverage, and longtime Winnipeg broadcaster Brian Biggie Munns is going to join us. We're going to be talking NFL playoffs. We're going to be talking NHL leftovers, NHL All-Stars, whatever CFL news comes up. Raptors are home tonight on Martin Luther King Day. So if you observe, for those of you that do, happy Martin Luther King Day to you. And that's about it. Let's bring him in. We're going to Las Vegas right now, celebrating his anniversary with the lovely Karen, the sports doctor, ta-da, out of Winnipeg. Dave, you're in Vegas. How is it? Go. Give me the report.
You know, it's funny because when you think there was numerous delays and we finally got here, we touched down about 7 o'clock Vegas time, and you're thinking maybe a Sunday night might be a little quieter in Las Vegas. No. Sunday nights, even though it's Martin Luther King Day today, so maybe technically some people have an extra day off, or maybe they're doing some different things. It's jammed. It's crazy. It's like, you know, we're walking the strip at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. It's like New Year's Eve almost all the time here. So it's the energy in this town is just incredible. And I got to tell you, there were a lot of Detroit Lions fans running around willy-nilly naked in the streets and stuff like that after the game finished last night in Detroit. Detroit. It was like surprising because, you think I'm at the other end of the world and Detroit, but man, there's a lot of Detroit fans watching in sports books all over. But it's a great town. Like it's say, the weather's going to be cold, but 12 degrees Celsius in Las Vegas compared to where I was in Winnipeg, where I was in Calgary. Even when last week when I was traveling to British Columbia, 12 degrees is summertime.
Well, the Vegas Golden Knights are home to Nashville this afternoon, as you pointed out, on Martin Luther King Day. And the Florida Panthers take to the ice in about an hour's time against the Anaheim Ducks. But we are doing our broadcasting duty, and that is hosting the RP show today. Director Jordan is back in the air chair. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And let's fire it up. We're opening on this Monday daytime sports talk live across Canada on the Game Plus television network in 31 U.S. states. We're also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live. We're on the streams. We'll open with Sunday's NFL games. Aaron Jones ran for 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love threw for 3 more. And Darnell Savage returned an interception, 64 yards for a score. And the Green Bay Packers upset the Dallas Cowboys 48-32 in a wild card stunner Sunday. What are we going to say? Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions before 3 mostly empty touchdown passes late in the game to make the score respectable. But it's the playoffs. We don't worry about respectable scores. Green Bay moving on. They'll visit top-seeded San Francisco in the divisional round next weekend. And in the nightcap last night, Jared Goff in Detroit threw for a touchdown and then completed a first down pass late to seal the game against the team that cast him away. Goff and the Detroit Lions won a playoff game for the first time in 32 years, beating Matt Stafford and the LA Rams 24-23 on Sunday night. Detroit, the NFC's 3rd seed, will have 2 home playoff games now for the first time in franchise history, and they await the winner of Tampa Bay or Philadelphia tonight. And, of course, Saturday, Houston blew out Cleveland 45-14. That was a history-making game in Houston, and the Kansas City Chiefs beat Miami 26-7. So, Dave, before I get to your take, and the sports doctor is a Minnesota Vikings season ticket holder, I'm over the Cowboys' loss. I was unusually upset during the game because you've seen the transformation of me from the miserable party drunk to what I am now, happy-go-lucky, sober, total metamorphosis. You've had a front row seat. And I've been sitting here trying yesterday. I'm like, why am I getting so upset? It's because it's my team, the Dallas Cowboys. But if I woke up today still in a bad mood, that's on me. So that's what I will say about that. Coming out of NFL wildcard weekend with knowing we have 2 more games tonight, what are your thoughts, David, of what you saw?
Well, we were talking about this off air, and it's a nightmare being a Minnesota Vikings fan when the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions advance in the playoffs. So nothing could be worse for a Vikings fan, for those 2 teams. Maybe the worst thing, but maybe if the Bears were still in the mix, maybe the Bears were in tonight's game or something. But it's just absolutely disappointing. And but the one thing that you have to say, Rod, even though you are a Dallas Cowboys fan, the memes are tremendous when Dallas lose. Though the memes on social media are absolutely tremendous. And just before we went live here, now you were playing a clip from I think it was 2021 about Dak Prescott just basically whining and things like that, and nothing much has changed in those 3 seasons past that time. So it's going to be interesting to see if Mike McCarthy survives in Dallas because he got that the vote of confidence from Jerry Jones. When you get that vote of confidence from your owner and a general manager like Jerry Jones is, it doesn't mean anything. So excited to watch it. Maybe one of the sports books today. The game in Buffalo again, kind of a strange situation with the snow squalls in the forecast and the Pittsburgh Steelers in town. That's going to be interesting to watch and all that snow. But I think the more fun. The game, of course, is the Tampa Bay game on traditional Monday Night Football time.
Well, that's a wonderful recap so far. I know a lot of people have tuned in to get my take on the Cowboys, but I gave it to you. David just said it, the sports doctor here, that nothing changes with the Cowboys. It's like the Leafs. It's like a lot of teams. We get sucked in all the time. Yeah. If you saw the game last night, Jerry Jones, or if you saw after the game, the media immediately shoving a mic in Jerry's face. I don't want to use the term narcissist to describe Jerry because I don't throw that term around lightly. That's an ugly term for somebody. A narcissist is an ugly person. But Jerry just tells people what they want to hear and then goes on and does his own thing all the time. I've never been so surprised. In all my time watching sports, I've never been this surprised. He says it every year. Rewind the tape. And we all think something's going to change. And then Jerry's in his lawn chair at training camp in July in Oxnard, California. Every year, Jerry, he may fire Mike McCarthy. They may do something with Dak Prescott's contract down the line. But Jerry ain't going anywhere. And that's what's got everybody upset in Cowboys world, which let's, move on for a second. We can talk about tonight's games in a moment. But our poll question today is for Key Auto Group. They are driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And our poll question is, will the Dallas Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy as their head coach? And Clark's got it up as a simple yes or no. I threw a wrinkle into things. He put it on YouTube. And on Twitter, I put a not sure. 79% on Twitter saying yes, they'll fire Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones will fire Mike McCarthy. 79% on Twitter saying yes, they will. I don't know how they can. What are they saying on YouTube, Clark? You got a number? 83%? Yeah, I think you have to, Dave. I think you have to, Dave. But it's my team, so I'll recuse myself because I'm getting emotional. What would you do if you were Jerry Jones?
I don't know. I think there is some great takeaways from the season, and it's strange. I don't think anybody really. And no one gave Green Bay that much of a chance. That Dallas at home always is a juggernaut. I think that's what makes it sting the most, is to lose in front of your faithful like that he did. But I don't think it's one of those situations where you got to blow up the whole team. I think McCarthy should get one more season and take him, because it's hard. Professional football is hard, and you've made the playoffs. And even though you may bow out, there might be another piece. And I don't think in this situation it's a coach. You don't see any coaching errors, in my humble opinion. You just saw some poor execution by Prescott with those interceptions. Especially when the Packers took the 20-0 lead, and then all of a sudden Cowboys have the ball. They're driving down, and then he throws that ill-timed interception to then they kick the single to make it 27-0. Like that to me was, boy, I wish you had a number 2 quarterback where your Prescott could feign an injury or tie a shoe and see what that guy could get done the next time, because in my mind, that was the turning point in the game.
Well, we got Trey Lance, and people were calling for him. You know him from NDSU. But I mean, this ain't a preseason game. That's why they left him in. But Dave, don't inject sanity into this, or reason. Don't inject sanity into this, okay? Yeah. We want him gone. Yeah. It's a trick question. He's got to be fired. And for the reasons you just said, maybe they won't. But this coaching carousel is a lot of fun. And by the way, the sports doctor's with us in Las Vegas, but he's a Winnipegger, and we'll bring it around to the Winnipeg Jets and the Blue Bombers and other CFL talk, just so you know, everybody. But I want your take on this. It's very important to not act in haste in life, but even as football teams, let's say they do fire Mike McCarthy, because every day what we've been doing on the show, Dave, is the big story. Now, what's the big story today? Well, the big story today is the NFL playoffs and the coaching carousel. That's my second point. So let's say they fire him. You got Belichick out there, you got Vrabel out there, and then you got other fired coaches like Arthur Smith in Atlanta, all kinds of guys. Dallas is a soft team. I heard a stat today, David. No NFL team has won more games the last 3 years and not made it to a conference championship than the Dallas Cowboys. So they're a good team. So they just need somebody to just push them over the... It's not a reclamation project like the Falcons probably are. You know what I mean? So let's just say he's gone. And you got your choice of Vrabel, Belichick, and a lot of other guys. Who would you hire?
Well, the interesting thing about Bill Belichick is head coach all those years. Is he 72 years old, if I'm not mistaken? I think he's 72, right? So you've won 6 Super Bowls. You've been coaching. You've been working for Robert Kraft for so years. I'm imagining that Belichick might have a couple shekels in the bank. Why in the world? Like, what drives somebody now after winning it 6 times, working with Tom Brady? Why don't you just ride out into the sunset? Why not just shut her down, buy a big mansion, get a moat, get a boat, sail the world, and just do nothing? Like, why would you want to continue to work? How long will a guy like that, who doesn't look that healthy, by the way, he doesn't look like he's the peak of fitness, right? Why would you not want to enjoy your life? You're not 50 years old. You're not 40 years old. You're into your 70s now. Shut her down.
You haven't been watching this show lately, obviously, because we brought that up last week. And so I won't go over it again, other than to say Belichick was asked that specific question, and he said, "This is what I do." And we get that, right? You and I both know those guys. Yeah?
Yeah, and you saw that in the press conference when they wished him well, except when he's standing on the sidelines. So to me, that tells me that Belichick does have something on brewing or something on the table, or maybe there's been a conversation that he had before him and the owner met. But I'm saying to myself, like, I'm 59 years old. Sometimes it's hard for me to get up in the morning from a night of watching television. I couldn't imagine having to go into work at 5 o'clock and working till midnight, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
This is what people don't understand, and it's very closely protected by sports people, but I don't mind talking about it. Look, you and I would take the money and run. If we had the money he did, I'll speak for you and say we would both. You'd never hear from us again. Goodbye. And there's a lot of guys that do that. Dustin Bufflin, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with what Buff did either. He's got his money. He wasn't motivated to play hockey anymore. I get it. That's him. You do you. That's what we say on this show all the time. You do you. But there was an NHL team came through here recently. I will not say which one, but Serena and I were in the press box at American Bank Arena, the home of the Panthers, and she was like, "Oh, so-and-so looks rough." And I'm like, they all do. It's stressful. They don't sleep. They get paid very well, but they don't eat well. They don't sleep well. So what's it worth? In the case of Belichick, I get it. What else would I do? Jeff, the Stamps fan, says some folks need to keep working. Boredom is death of some. And Jeff also says, here comes Bill Belichick to Dallas. Listen, I say it all the time in my recovery coaching business. A lot of people get bored and they turn to alcohol. I'm like, that's a really bad reason to drink. There's a lot of other reasons. Stress, this happened to me, but because you're bored? With enough money, I can find you things to do. You know what I mean?
He's got as much money that every morning he could wake up and figure out, how can I spend my money? I'm saying, like, and I get it. So, there's a lot different things, and it's got to be a balance. But yes, he is very successful, and maybe there is that thing, like, when you had a career change and you had to shift, you wanted to conquer some different mountains, and you've succeeded, and I kind of get that, right? But at the same time, you're living a very, very good life. You've come through a lot of difficult times, Rod, and now look at the success that you're having. The Rod Pedersen Show, the podcasting, living in Florida, beautiful, right? But you conquered a few things, and I'm sure there's more on your bucket list that you want to. But 6 Super Bowls, money in the bank, big house, probably a boat. Shut her down, Bill. And then, I apologize. I did not watch last week. I was in British Columbia in Langley and Surrey. So when you're talking about the West Coast time difference, it's a little early.
Oh, hey, trust me. Hey, I get it. It's a popular topic that a lot of people are talking about. I just wanted to give you our stance on that. When we come back, NHL, CFL, and whatever the viewers would like to talk about, plus the weather wreaking havoc on sports across North America and Dave's travel plans. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. This is the warm-up. We're just getting rolling on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Thank you, Rick Regan. And folks, Canada's top men's curling teams are thick into the season, and they have their eyes firmly focused on a trip to Regina in March for the 2024 Montana's Brier presented by AGI. Single draw tickets are on sale now. They range in price from $24 to $70 depending on the draw, but all kids tickets are $9.99. Doesn't matter the draw, doesn't matter the seat. Curling Canada is committed to providing affordable options so the entire family can enjoy this world-class event. Get your tickets now, curling.ca/tickets. If we can bring in the sports doctor from Winnipeg for a second. Sports doc, we're going to jump into hockey here in a second, but Dave is in Winnipeg. He's from Winnipeg, but he's in Vegas. I'm from Saskatchewan. I'm in Florida. But our top two regions for viewership are Saskatchewan and Manitoba, so it fits real nice. And there's breaking news from the Riders today. They've announced their coaching staff, Dave. They are head coach Corey Mace, offensive coordinator Mark Mueller, offensive line coach Edwin Harrison, receivers coach Markway McDaniel, running backs coach Anthony Vitale, pass game coordinator and defensive backs Josh Bell, defensive line Philip Daniels, linebackers coach J.C. Sherritt. defensive assistant Jordan Lennon, special teams coordinator Kent Majuri, and assistant special teams coach Jeff Higgins. We'll come back around on that, okay, Dave? There were a couple of games in the NHL on Sunday. Artemi Pedersen and Alexei Lafreniere scored first-period goals. Igor Shesterkin made 24 saves, and the Rangers beat Washington 2-1. And in Toronto, Andrew Kopp scored the tie-breaking goal with 1:40 to go in the third period, and Detroit won for the 5th time in its last 6 games, beating the Leafs 4-2. Looks like the Wings are figuring it out. Look out for them. Jets lost. We're all watching the streak, right? And they lost 2-0 at home to Philly on Saturday night, snapped their win streak at 8 games. Mild panic in the Slurpee capital coming out of that, or what? What was your assessment?
We are definitely a fire the coach, burn the building, or plan the parade kind of a town. Philadelphia last season about the same Saturday, there was a Saturday night game and Philadelphia absolutely waxed us 4-0 in January, and that downward spiral of the Winnipeg Jets began. This year, I don't think that's going to happen. We've got a game tomorrow against the Islanders. I think we got Ottawa on the weekend, and there's another game in there, and then back-to-back against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Islanders game winnable, Ottawa game winnable, Leafs, Detroit can beat them. We can beat them too. So I can't see this squad this year going into the tank like they did last year. Some key injuries, of course. You've seen Kyle Connor, although he's been skating a non-contact thing, kind of like, indiscreet, like they're kind of hiding him away. Mark Scheifele, we'll see what happens, the status of him for tomorrow night's game. But I can't see this team doing it. There's just such a positive vibe this year in that building, and I think there's not panic. Obviously, if we drop games to the New York Islanders and the Ottawa Senators, then the pitchforks and the calling and the petitions and the angry mob will come out. But I don't think that's going to happen.
While we're at it, I should just mention that Rick Bowness of the Winnipeg Jets and Rick Tocchet of the Vancouver Canucks will join Boston's Jim Montgomery and Peter Laviolette of the Rangers as head coaches at the NHL All-Star Game in Toronto. The league issued a release on Sunday saying the head coaches of teams with the highest points percentage in each of the 4 divisions through Saturday's games will guide the 4 All-Star rosters. So congratulations to all 4 of those gentlemen. While Dave's here, let's take it to the streets because people have questions for you, the sports doctor, who's joining us from Las Vegas. Larry in Medicine Hat writes in and says, "Hey, Doc, will the Vikings keep Kirk Cousins or try to find the next Jordan Love? What do you think of your beloved Vikings?"
Yeah, you saw that carousel of quarterbacks this year. Once Kirk Cousins went down, the success of Kirk Cousins is undeniable in terms of how he executes the game and a record when he's playing. But just like we talked about Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys, something needs to change to take the team over to the next step, up to the next level. So I'm not really seeing. I'm not seeing a solution other than a big change. And you talk about the coaching carousel. I don't know how that coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin McConnell, I don't know how that guy is not in the hot seat. Because that, yes, you do lose your quarterback, your star quarterback, and yes, there's a whole thing, but there's some, I couldn't see an execution problem with Mike McCarthy yesterday and the Dallas Stars in terms of coaching. But you can just point out a whole bunch of things that Kevin McConnell does that are just baffling sometimes. So that's a strange one. I think that the Vikings need to find somebody. It might be short-term pain for a long-term game, but I don't think we're going to win the way the Vikings are going to win in the way they're going to go now without making significant changes.
Agreed. How do you feel about the execution of your defense today, Coach? I'm in favor of it. Cowboys allowing the most points in a playoff game in franchise history on Sunday. Thanks for bringing it up, Dave. Brian in Manitoba writes in from both. Oh, hang on. No. First, Len in Edmonton. He writes in and says, Rod, as you referred to on the show last week, NHL streaks are a fad. Bell-bottom pants and mullets and stubby beer bottles are a fad. Streaks such as the winning Oilers are not. Streaks such as the losing Kings are not. No need to substantiate your fad comments if you don't wish, but I want to voice my opinion, which is valued on your program, and your program is valued to me. Well, that's what I want. I want a personal connection with us and the viewers and listeners, and I appreciate Lynn saying that. But hey, Dave, I've got to be honest. I'm glad he brought that up. Sergei Bobrovsky was in net Saturday night when the Panthers lost here to the New Jersey Devils 4-1. Just before the game, Bob was announced as an all-star goalie, voted in by the fan vote. And then they went out and lost, and it was snapped a 9-game winning streak. Your Jets lost Saturday night an 8-game winning streak. You know what Bob said after? Forget about the all-star. He said, this is a very big deal to me and a privilege from Bob. If you knew him, Dave, you'd love him. He's a goalie. Of course you'd love him. But he said, these streaks, they don't matter. And he's so right. And you can compare sports. You know this because you work in pro wrestling, football, all the different sports. You can control it all. You can compare it all. You can go and celebrate all you want in Edmonton that the Oilers have won 10 in a row. That's fine. Trust me, I hear it around here every day with Serena. But there is a thing about peaking too soon. Ask the Toronto Argonauts. I'm not saying they're doing it. But what Bob's saying is now's not the time to be playing your best hockey. And I feel like people like Len and that, Dave, they never get to hear that.
No. That's the Boston Bruins, the President's Trophy winner from last season, and how they bowed out into the playoffs. You're absolutely right. Like, you want a consistent play. The streak, it's fun. It's absolutely fun. It's fun. The energy in the building. I talked to people that were at the game on Saturday night, and the energy walking into the building. It was like the air coming out of the balloon after the Philadelphia Flyers took the 2-0 lead. But, it's just like you dust yourself off. Like I said, the true test of the Winnipeg Jets comes this week against the Islanders and the Ottawa Senators, because if that kind of performance, but at the same time, we all talk about, this is a very strong team in terms defensively too. Like, we're protecting our goalie. Teams aren't scoring on us like they used to. We're not seeing games where Connor Hellebuck or are not playing at their best. So there's a very strong nucleus to this. And Edmonton, hey, we like watching Edmonton too, but Edmonton falls into that Toronto Maple Leafs, Dallas Cowboys, plan the parade, we're the greatest team, this is our year kind of thing. Like, it's just, we're going to have to wait and see, because Edmonton has a lot of proving to do. Now, I have to qualify that saying Winnipeg Jets haven't won anything, but we never get our hopes up that high. It's not like we're the arrogant fans when we're traveling and things like that. We're not shooting it down.
You're very realistic, and I think that's why I get along with the people of your town, because God knows forever I didn't. And you've been with me when we...
Yeah.
But now they do, because I'm real, they're real, and we appreciate that. But it's important to be positive, especially when you got a good team. You got the #1 team in the NHL, so don't dump on Rick Bowness like they were at the start of the year. Like Calgary, that's a negative town. I stood at the front of a room at a golf tournament this summer and said, who's positive about the Flames going into the year? About 10 guys put their hands up, and they are all Flames alumni. Everybody else in the room laughed. Trevor in Calgary, incidentally, is he in Calgary? He is in Red Deer. He writes in and says, hey, Rod, nice win by the Packers Sunday, LOL. What do the Flames do? Sell or try and sign guys like Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm? Well, they've been trying to sign him, and they can't. I'm going to have to – I'll come – you know what? I'm going to ask Munsey that when he comes in next segment. I'm going to ask the Sports Talk of Flames question. Thank you, Trevor. Just hang on. I'll put it to Numsy. That's a good one. Munsey in the next segment. So here's the guy from Brian in Beausejour, Manitoba. Good day, our crew, RP crew and squad. Condolences to all Cowboys fans. 3 things that frustrate me about the NFL game. 1, touchbacks. 2, fair catches. And 3, walking off the field with the clock still ticking. Have a great show. That, I know, is money in the bank. That's from Brian in Beausejour. I don't think the NFL is looking at their rules in any way, Dave, and saying we need to change a thing. I don't. Do you?
One thing I'm not understanding is that there's been a couple of games this year where the after the kickoff, it doesn't go through the end zone or even near the end zone. And do they have the option now, the player of the receiving team, just to wave it off and go, we're going to go from the 25? Like, it seems strange. I was watching it with watching with a buddy at a local watering hole, and we're watching the games going, that didn't even go near the end zone, but yet we're spotting it. Like, I just don't understand that rule. I agree. I don't think the kickoffs always have to be returned. I think that adds to the game. It's just like a tip-off in basketball, a face-off in hockey. I don't think that should be a part. Fair catch. Okay, I kind of get it. You're kind of playing the odds, saying, well, you know what? I don't want the ball to bounce and them to ground it at the 1, and I don't want to get smacked. So yeah, I'll do the fair catch thing. I don't mind that one at all. And the walking off, I don't understand. I've been watching football all my life. I've been watching both leagues, CFL and NFL. I don't understand the clock in either one. Like, I just all of a sudden, is it going to run? Are they going to call a timeout? I don't know. Yeah, so it is weird to us, especially a Canadian Football League team, because you can play that game and you know what can happen in the 3-minute warning in the CFL, and we sometimes just don't understand it. But it doesn't bother me as much as the touchback.
Ratings have never been higher. They've never made more money. I don't think they have a problem with it. I'll examine the Rider coaching staff more next hour. You got to go. You only got about 90 seconds. But what do you know about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers naming Jordan Younger defensive coordinator? And Richie Hall is going to stay on the staff, but he's stepping down from that role. You're a Bomber guy. Has there been any talk about that? That caught us all a little off guard.
Well, I was reading Ed Tate's latest column, and we're talking about the defensive backs in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and no position in our team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has more turnover, more turmoil, more guys going in and out, and that seems to be, pardon the expression, the disposable position. Only thing that I can see is I think that Richie Hall has great skills in terms of game planning and figuring things out. Maybe there could be a relationship issue with some of the players, and I only mean that because when you start to get a little older, you don't relate well to the guys coming in, and it's a different breed, age group, attitude, generation of players, and maybe something's not right in that, and maybe Richie Hall. We don't know. We haven't even heard from Richie Hall. Maybe he says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to stick around, but I'm going to retire in a couple of years. I'm going to bring somebody to mentor." I don't know the situation. I think it's great to have in-house guys always getting promoted. You know, it'd be much different if they brought somebody in from the outside and said, "Okay, now you're the defensive coordinator, and Richie is just going to stay on an advisory role." So it's much different. So I think this is a mentor situation, and I can't speak to the team because they're very tight-lipped about these things right now. But I'm glad to see that Richie Hall stays in the organization, and he adds value to our team. But it's strange.
Great insight, Dave. Go enjoy your anniversary. Thanks for helping us out.
Thanks, Rod. I appreciate that. And thanks. And, I got texts and phone calls during the I know people are watching in Winnipeg and all across Canada, and you're doing a great job.
Good stuff, buddy. Thank you so much. All the best in 2024. The sports doctor from Vegas checking in. We're going to talk NHL next with Brian Munz, longtime Winnipeg and Edmonton broadcaster. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody, a reminder, your Telemiracle 50/50 online raffle is live now, and you can buy your tickets at telemiracle5050.com. Must be over 18 years of age and physically in Saskatchewan to purchase your tickets. We'll be selling them until February 23rd at 4 p.m. SAS time. Winner gets half, as you know. All the other proceeds going to Telemiracle 48, supporting Saskatchewan's charity. Visit telemiracle.com to learn how the Kinsman Foundation is helping people every day in Saskatchewan, the home province of Brian Muntz. As we said before the break, longtime Winnipeg and Edmonton broadcaster, but Sask too. And Muncie, we don't need to get into any Telemiracle stories. I want to talk about the National Hockey League. And I'm sure you got asked a ton about the Jets, but I want to just ask you about the Flames, because you examine every team, I'm sure. What do you think they're going to do here? We're still 6 to 8 weeks away from the trade deadline, but flirting with that playoff line makes it seems like they're in a conundrum.
Well, ring those phones for Telemiracle, right? That's the phrase that you and I grew up on. Everybody knows that back in the prairies.
Betcha.
You know what? For Calgary, for me, I still think it's too early. Like, I was looking at the standings this morning, and I've got to admit to you, first and foremost, Rod, I've been in Denver and I've been in Arizona since pretty much the 2024 calendar turned. So I've kind of got my head in the sand a little bit, was focused more on golf and trying to get out of this minus 50-degree weather that we have north of the border that obviously you know nothing about. I think Calgary have to give it a bit of time right now. The big thing that jumps out for me is the back end that could all disappear next year. Right? I think 5 of their 7 defensemen right now under contract are UFA next year, looking online here this morning. So that would be one thing that would definitely have my attention if I was around that team every day. But just because this Western Conference is so close right now, it makes it much-watched drama. Like, that's the one fun thing about it is you flip on the television, and I heard you and the sports doctor talking earlier on. Who would have thought Philadelphia was going to come in and shut out the Winnipeg Jets, who still haven't given up 100 goals against this year on the entire season? Only team to do that so far, by the way. But I think the arms race that is right now is still too tight.
Actually, that's wonderful analysis. If you're Craig Conroy and Ryan Huska, you might be sitting back going, we don't need to decide today, which is kind of what you're saying. But from a Winnipeg standpoint, which you know better than anybody, do you feel this team needs to augment at all? You already have the #1 team in the NHL. What could you possibly look to add, unless I'm wrong on that?
Yeah, you know, the word around town here, and again, I don't pay as much attention to it as obviously I did when I was involved on a daily basis, but watching the games, talking to people inside the organization that are now more friends than coworkers, I think they'd still like to see a defenseman. Now, I think the other 31 teams in the NHL would also say, hey, give me a top 4 defenseman and we'd be extremely happy. But overall, I don't think you tinker with a lot of it. They won 28 out of 42 games, right? They only have 10 regulation losses. And again, they've been so good in their own end where I say get a defenseman, the 6 or 7 that are playing every night will look at me and say, well, why? We've done our job so far in front of Connor Hellebuck or Laurent Brossoit. So I think right now, if you're Rick Bowness and Scott Arniel and Brad Lauer and that entire organization, I don't think Kevin Cheveldayoff wants to tinker with too much because it's not broken.
Well, and your thoughts on the streaks. Oilers at 10, Kraken, I think, at 9. And then you saw the Panthers and the Jets had their snap Saturday night. Yeah. The fans are going nuts about it, but it was Bobrovsky who said, here, these streaks don't matter. It doesn't matter now. You want to be playing well, yes, but you don't need to be playing your best. Is too much being made of them in your mind?
No, because it's hard to win in this league. And I saw Florida when I was in Denver last week on January the 4th. It was an afternoon game. The Panthers were playing the Colorado Avalanche. We were there for a Humboldt Broncos Memorial Golf Tournament event that Dog Nation through Colorado brought 12 of the 16 families in that lost a member on the April 6th bus crash. And it was neat to see because everybody loves hockey, right? That's why we were all there. And you have arguably one of the best teams in the Western Conference in Colorado, and you've got Paul Maurice's Florida Panthers who continue to take the Eastern Conference by storm right now everywhere they've been going. So it was a colossal matchup. Florida scores 3 goals on their first 3 shots. Colorado ties at 3-3. Game finally ends 8-4 Panthers with 2 empty net goals. But it was, you couldn't take your eyes away from the arena for the entire night because the star power that's involved in that game, you mentioned Bobrovsky, he was just unbelievable that game. And I think these streaks are something to pay attention to because, you know, these games are not easy to win. The travel these players go through, and hey, I lived it. The charter life, the 5-star hotels, it's awesome. But it's a grind for the players. It's a grind for everybody that's there. So when you're able to put a run together like these 4 or 5 teams are right now, that should be celebrated by everybody in the league because it's not something that's easily done.
You know, I've known you since you were in high school. And all through your time with the Jets, you always really seem to like Paul Maurice. What is your take on just the change and what he's doing here and how Winnipeggers just can't let it go? That's the sense I get.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I would say they can't let it go anymore because they've got, and hey, Brad Lauer is a personal friend of mine from Humboldt. That staff that he has a chance to work with as an assistant coach under Scott Arniel, who's the associate, and Rick Bowness right now, like that's the perfect fit coming in after Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice was a fan favorite because he could step up on the podium and he would gravitate any person that was there, whether you were a hockey fan or not. You want to listen to what Paul Maurice has to say. There's a charm there. To me, and I still bug him about it when we talk about it, he's going to end up in TV one day because he's so good at it. But he can deliver a message, and I've seen Paul speak at countless different charity events or corporate functions or whatever it may be. And just some people have that cachet, right? When you walk into a room, you're drawn to them. And then when they can deliver a message, whether it's business, whether it's school, whether it's athletics, whatever it may be, that 2 minutes in, you've got everybody just glued on you with their eyes that, you know, he's got that wow power. And it's obviously worked with this Florida Panthers team because when you look down the roster, they have some stars, but they've got a group of players there that have become a really good team. They've obviously got a world-class goaltender in Bobrovsky, but he's a guy that brings people together. And for whatever reason it was time to move on for him here from Winnipeg, and he has found a really good spot. He's really happy down in Florida, and they're having a heck of a season there. You know that. You see it.
Like you say, yeah, well, missing the game today, but it's given me the chance to sit here and talk to you, so that's awesome. But it's nice when both can be happy after a split. Yeah. Jets #1 overall team, and Pomo goes to the Stanley Cup and may do it again. It all worked out nice again, as Cactus Jack Wells would say in your town. Munzie, thanks, buddy. All the best in 2024. Let's do it again soon.
Anytime, Rod. Good to see you.
Longtime broadcaster now from Gulf, Manitoba, Brian Munz. We'll be right back with viewer takeover and a sports update right after this. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
It is Martin Luther King Day, so if you observe, hope you're having a good one. And this could be a good news, bad news kind of deal. If you're like me, you would think this first hour has just zipped right by. And we've had the sports doctor on, and then Munzie. Just me for now, but it's going to be tight. I got a sports update to get to and some viewer messages. But when we come back into hour two, for the whole first segment of hour two, it'll be just you and me and I'll get to more and more and more of your comments because I haven't got to hardly any of your comments. But what do I say? Hour 2 is when we do that. So your thoughts on all of what we've been talking about, the NFL playoffs on the weekend. We got 2 games coming up tonight, which we haven't even talked about at all. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. And isn't that interesting? 4:30 p.m. Eastern, Bills and Steelers. And the Bills have put out, I've seen it, you probably have too, from their social media accounts, asking fans to come down to the stadium to shovel snow today in advance of the game. That is a senior hockey-esque thing, isn't it? Come on down and help us flood the ice. Although they're asking to do the opposite. I can't believe it. And there's people saying today, the pundits are saying, can't believe they're going to be able to play a game. Look at the snow. Well, if enough people show up to shovel, they'll be fine. And I'm sure they will. Who dat? And then the later game is Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, 8:15 p.m. And that was what I thought was going to be the only upset of the weekend. As it turns out, we've had 2. Hang on. I'll save the comments. Well, if I get through this sports update, I'll get to them here this hour. If not, we'll push them to hour 2. We do have breaking news from the Canadian Football League today, and it's not just the Rough Riders coaches. The Toronto Argonauts Football Club announcing this morning they have extended American defensive end Folarin Orimolade, American wide receiver DeVaris Daniels, and signed running back DeAndre Torrey today. Orimolade, who's been on this show with a Sober Carpenter Players Association interview, had a career year in Toronto last season after posting a team-leading 10 sacks to go along with 36 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries in 17 games, on the way to being named a Division All-Star for the first time. On Sunday, Cameron Judge was extended by the Calgary Stampeders. So they're handling their business. Rough Riders announced their coaching staff for 2024 today. I don't have time for it here. We did mention it earlier. It's at rodpeterson.com right now, top item running. This week, nearly 80 Canadian teens are making their way to South Korea for the Gangwon 2024 Youth Olympic Games. 6 of those athletes will be curlers. The Canadian contingent will consist of 4 players on a traditional mixed team and 2 others going to participate in mixed doubles. The 4 players are skip Nathan Gray of Dartmouth, 3rd Chloe Fedyuk of Edmonton, 2nd Owain Fisher of North River, Nova Scotia, lead Ali Iskew of Edmonton, and the mixed doubles players are Kaylee Locke of Conception Bay South, Newfoundland, Labrador, and Simon Perry of Portugal Cove, Newfoundland, Labrador. What's wrong with my mouth today? Coming out of the weekend. Not ready for this. Sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca, and for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now, Mean Girls. From the comedic mind of Tina Fey comes a new twist on the modern classic Mean Girls, now showing at your local Landmark Cinemas. As promised, to the text line we go. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, 2 interceptions, a pick 6, went undefeated at home. I thought I was watching the Argos collapse in the Eastern Final. Oh, and I'm not a Cowboys fan.
How about that?
It had a lot of the same feels, didn't it? Kirk in Toronto. Don't peak too soon. 16 wins in a row at home. Jordan Love making his first career playoff start. Oh yeah, we got him right where we want him, boys. But again, if I allowed what the Dallas Cowboys did in a game to ruin my day, I'm the fool. Hour 2 coming up, including Jeff Reinbold right after this brief pause on Game Plus TV and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome on up inside to your favorite daytime sports talk show. Yeah, buddy, hour 2. I'm going to try and keep this streak alive of this being the best part of the show, or maybe the most fun. But it's just me and you here. I see people writing in like John in Winnipeg saying, where's Moose? Did he go shovel snow in Buffalo? I'm going to try to stay on point here as much as I can. It's just me for this segment, which is another 15 minutes-ish, and then Jeff Reinbold in hour 2 from Sky Sports NFL coverage, iconic CFL coach. And I'm going to try and keep it on point because I have some things that I want to say here, but I also like to turn it over to the viewers, and I said this at the end of hour 1. That's what we're going to do here. Push all your comments into here. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in, and he says, so good to see Munsey again. The broadcaster who brought the professional touch to every Winnipeg Ice game. Interesting story about that. And it was, if you just tuned in, you didn't see, Brian Munz was with us, former voice of the Winnipeg Jets, TSN voice, the Edmonton Roadrunners, if you can believe, where he met his lovely wife, Lindsay. I've been very close with the Munns family for a long time, and their son, Jack, and I've known Brian since high school. And through the last couple of years, the turbulence that went on in my life, Munnsy, whenever the Winnipeg Ice would come through Alberta, he was, because I was in Calgary, he would say, would you come do color? He would always ask if they were playing the Hitmen in Calgary, the Rebels in Red Deer, the Hurricanes on Lethbridge. Yeah, of course, I'm not doing anything. So I'd jump in the car, quite often in a blizzard, and drive to wherever he was. And one night it was in Red Deer. And this was the first game I'd done with him that he was doing a Winnipeg Ice broadcast on whatever the hell station in Winnipeg it was. And I turned to Munnsy, and you would have thought it was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. And I was like, Munnsy, I said, I'm very impressed with the work you're putting into this junior hockey broadcast. And he just looked at me like, yeah, that's a professional broadcaster treating a junior game in Red Deer on a Tuesday night like it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. That's Munnsy. So that's exactly what you're saying, Patrolman Pete. And why would I be surprised? I don't know. I just sort of was. Now, back to DuPont. He's not here. Travel snafus. So I talked about the turbulence that I went through the last 2 years, but the turbulence ain't supposed to last forever. And it's not for me. Settled here in Florida. Things are great. And I see, obviously, the weather situation of not only just what's going on in Canada, but Buffalo, Kansas City. Don't want to travel. I'm good. DuPont is trying today to fly from Toronto to Saskatchewan to broadcast the Provincial Women's Curling Championships at the behest of and the hiring of Curling Saskatchewan, Curlsask. But he had travel snafus, flights delayed. I've heard this stuff about the plane de-icers being frozen and flights being canceled. Nope. Been there. Have been there. Not interested in being there again. So that's the deal. Darren was supposed to have landed by now in the 306, but the flight was screwed up and he couldn't make it. John in Edmonton writes in and says, I'm surprised, Rod, that you're still doing the show since your Florida Panthers are playing right now. Oh, believe me, it was talked about Saturday night at the New Jersey game here when the Devils beat the Panthers 4-1 to snap their win streak at 9. I could have said, I'm not working today on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day. But just like Munnsy doing that professional broadcast in Red Deer, I'm going to be on the air here on Game Plus and Key Radio entertaining you people. 902-518-3033. I can miss a Panthers game. Hustler, I noticed from Winnipeg Sports Talk, missed Saturday night's Jets game so that he could be in Kansas City to watch the Chiefs knock off the Miami Dolphins. What was it, 25-7? So when duty calls, duty calls. We do have breaking news from a variety of leagues today. We have a lot that we can get to, just us. What I tell you, I knew that we could do this. Saskatchewan Roughriders, you're going to have to, I closed it out. Hang on. Saskatchewan Roughriders announcing their coaching staff. And while that comes up, I want to tell you something. With the Dallas Cowboys getting routed last night, 48-32 by the Green Bay Packers. Most points ever given up by the Cowboys in a playoff game, ever in their franchise history. I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't sit and wear Cowboys gear every day. I don't make a big deal out of it. But I am a Cowboys fan, and I'm sitting there watching that yesterday going, you can't schedule feelings. That's a thing we say in the recovery and mental health world, and I'm a certified mental health recovery coach. You don't know how you're going to feel at this certain point, right? When we're coaching people in mental health, mental strength. Hey, in a week when I'm doing this, this is how I'll feel. You don't know that. Just worry about today. We'll deal with in a week. So while I was fully confident that the Cowboys, who was favored by 7.5 points at Bet Regal, were going to have our way with the Green Bay Packers, of course, there was this tiny little modicum of doubt in the back of my mind. Why not? Because I'm a Cowboys fan. And even when the Packers went up 7-0 on the opening drive on the first of 3 Aaron Jones touchdowns, I'm like, no. We'll figure it out. We got Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, right? And on offense, we fired Kellen Moore last year as the coordinator and put Mike McCarthy in there to call plays as the head coach. So that'll fix everything, right? And Dak led the NFL in touchdowns, if you weren't noticing, in the regular season. And the Dallas Cowboys won 16 in a row at home. Have our way with the Packers. No, I wasn't worried. I'm like, they'll figure it out. They didn't figure it out. They didn't even come close to figuring it out, and they didn't even show up and ended up losing 48-32, and the Green Bay Packers move on, and they'll face San Francisco next weekend in San Fran. And this reminds me, the poll question today for our friends at Key Auto Group is this. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. The poll question is, will the Dallas Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy as head coach? Clark, what is the latest, if you don't mind, on YouTube? What's the vote? 76% saying yes, they will fire Mike McCarthy. I mean, yeah, I think you have to. And the Twitter vote is over 80% saying yes, they'll fire Mike McCarthy. And this is not a knee-jerk thing. What did I say last hour? The stats are that no team in the NFL has won more games in the last 3 years and not gone to a conference championship than the Dallas Cowboys. Regular season success has not translated to playoff success. You can't fire all the players, but you can fire one coach. It's time. Last hour, we had Dave Patrician on here, the sports doctor, and he gave all the reasons why the Cowboys shouldn't fire a coach. And to be honest, they were pretty good. He's like, it's hard to win. Winning all those games in the regular season is not easy to do. Well, we don't get paid for regular season wins, at least not in Dallas. Get paid by championships. That should be what it is. And for that reason, I think he'll be fired. But I guess we'll find out. And I don't want to sit here and talk about the Dallas Cowboys because God knows there's enough networks and channels that are doing that. And I woke up today and said, if I allow my mood to be dictated by a football team's win or loss, I'm the idiot. So, furthermore, usually it takes a drive or two for a defensive coach or an offensive coach to figure out what's going on. It's a little like what we do here on this show. It took me, I'm a slow learner. So it took me a year or two to figure out what we were going to do with the RP show versus being in Florida. And what I've realized is this. You people don't care about the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning, and the people here don't care about what we talk about in Canada, which is the Canadian NHL teams and the Canadian Football League, because trust me, they told me. So I'll keep the two separate, and we're good. And that's why the Panthers are playing today, and I'm here. They're separate things. But do not get it twisted. As Chris Jones says, the CFL is still a big deal here. And I could sit here and can I just run through the Rider story, coaches, and then I'll get back on the fun thing, which is story time. Saskatchewan Roughriders announcing their coaching staff for 2024 today under first-year head coach Corey Mace. He's the head coach and defensive coordinator, Corey Mace is. He's named himself the defensive coordinator. That's a common thing in the CFL. The offensive coordinator is Mark Mueller, member of football's first family. Offensive line coach is Edwin Harrison. The receivers coach is Marquay McDaniel. The running backs coach is Anthony Vitale. Pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach is Josh Bell. The defensive line coach is Philip Daniels. The linebackers and run game coordinator is J.C. Sherritt. The defensive assistant is Jordan Lennon. Special teams coordinator is Kent Marjorie. And the assistant special teams coach is Jeff Higgins. You can go and read it all right now at rodpeterson.com. It's a top item running. It's 1:11 Eastern, which we stop and observe every day if you're into numerology. What's going on back there at the Millennium Falcon? Thank you. Beautiful. And we do encourage you, thanks guys, we do encourage you to envision a positive outcome to whatever situation you're in right now, because it does happen. So while I say they don't care about the CFL here, they don't care about it daily, but I was in New Orleans, Louisiana at Christmas, and I was in a store, I want to say Champs or Lids or something of that ilk. and in the outlet mall in New Orleans, and the manager of the store, I can't remember how it came up. He just basically stood at the front door of the store and just talked. And you could hear him 100 yards away. He was like a foghorn, leghorn kind of guy. You know, I'll tell you. And I think Serena brought it up. She was obviously with me, and she said, you know, Rod was the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 20 years in the CFL. He goes, the CFL, I got to ask you, why did they move the Grey Cup this year? I'm like, how did you know that? And he goes, well, because I know that the Grey Cup is always the Sunday of U.S. Thanksgiving week, and this year was not. It was the Sunday before U.S. Thanksgiving. I follow these things. I was like, they know. Well, they're not necessarily going to CFL.ca or surfing the Twitter feeds. They still know. And so it's a big deal. They may not care daily, but they know what's going on. That was my point on all of that. And then we had a great CFL discussion. He told me that he went up to Toronto, lived there for 5 years because of a girl, and it didn't work out. Point spreads for Bet Regal. We've already had one upset so far in these NFL wildcard weekend playoff games. And I should tell you, because I don't think I did, Jeff Reinbold's coming up in the next segment from Sky Sports NFL coverage. Who other than Packers fans saw that coming yesterday? Nobody. That's the answer. The spreads today for Bet Regal are the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 10. That's a 4:30 Eastern kickoff. And I'm a little like with John in Edmonton here. He goes, they're not even offering free tickets for the people to come shovel at the stadium in Buffalo today. They're just giving them free food. It's a little hokey that they would be asking people to do that, yet it's a big stadium. I'm just checking in on the streams here. Mark Zosel and Melfort writes in and says, the Packers now have more playoff wins at AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys. 3-2. Thanks for putting the numbers in, Mark, but I knew that. Reg in Winnipeg writes in and says, driving 1,315 kilometers to watch a football game in minus 30 degrees Celsius weather is called insanity. Is that what Hustler did? Did he drive? Are we talking about Hustler here from Winnipeg Sports Talk? Again, the cold bothers me. Call me crazy. Maybe we'll talk to Coach Reinbold about this next segment, but the cold bothers me. Clearly, it didn't bother the close to 75,000 people in Arrowhead on Saturday night. It bothered the Miami Dolphins. That's a guarantee. I actually can't. Hey, we're almost out of time here. I can't wait to talk to Coach Reinbold about all those games on the weekend in the NFL because the Dolphins weren't themselves. Clearly, the Cowboys weren't. And Reinbold's the guy that said he was hoping this was the year that the Cowboys wouldn't be all hat and no cattle. Nope. So what do they do? Do we have Coach Reinbold ready to go? Not yet? Okay. We're kind of iffy on whether Coach Reinbold joins us or not, just so you know. Kind of loosey-goosey. I think we're going to have him. But as you've seen by the last 15 minutes, I can handle it on my own. A decade of sports talk radio in the Queen Cities prepared me for doing this on national television and 31 U.S. states with whatever the heck you want to talk about. And whether we do it next segment or the segment after that or after that, we'll do NHL breakaway bets because it's a very busy day in the National Hockey League today. We'll be right back live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Canada's top men's curling teams are thick into the season, everybody, and their eyes are firmly focused on a trip to Regina in March for the 2024 Montana's Brier presented by AGI. Single draw tickets are ranging in price from $24 to $70, depending on the draw and seat selection. Youth tickets are just $9.99 for all draws. Curling Canada is committed to providing affordable options so the entire family can enjoy this world-class event. Get your tickets now at curling.ca/tickets. So just coming out of the break, I was informed that Jeff Reinbold is not with us at this time. And this is why I try to stay out of the process, the middleman. Clark was going back and forth with Reinbold about coming on, and then I intercepted a message, and then Clark got logged out of the Twitter account, and well, I'm sitting here thinking we're not going to have him, but I think the direct quote from Jeff Reinbold was, "I'll be good to go, mate." Or it might have been like something. So we'll make do. Let the record show. Today's the day Rod did 40 minutes on his own with you people. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here. I feel like we're all having a good enough time, right? I know this. Michael Wynn is watching in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports and says, yes, Hustler drove to Kansas City. Craziness. 1,350 kilometers, Winnipeg to Kansas City. That's dedication. I don't like to drive 40 miles to watch the Dolphins, but that's not my team either. Fair. On the Dallas Cowboys, and I think anybody who's sane realizes they need a coaching change with Mike McCarthy, and that's what I would have liked to talk to Reinbold about. I don't know who this guy is. On Twitter, he goes by the name Best Damn Referee. You want to give me your name? But he writes in and says, Bill Belichick to the Cowboys may be the quickest way to beat Don Shula's long-standing record. I'm sure Jerry Jones has talked with Bill Parcells about the possibilities. Do you want to check your proof? You're not talking to Parcells. He fired him once. And what you're saying is they're lining up the next coach before they fire McCarthy, and I don't think that's the case. If Jerry Jones is a narcissist, and trust me, he shows all the signs. I'm not saying he is, and I have met him, but I'm not saying he is a narcissist. He just shows the signs. He's probably so arrogant and egotistical, he's thinking that if I fire Mike McCarthy, there'll be a lineup of guys to coach this team. We're the Dallas Cowboys. Problem is, he's right. BW in Edmonton writes in and says, bring the Silver Fox in. He's a great storyteller. Number one, we're fine. We'll handle it, but thanks. And two, he's in Hawaii and on vacation and unavailable. That's what we were told. I appreciate John in Edmonton writing in with score updates. How about that? I don't feel like I'm going to do that. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm going to give score updates because a very, very, very large portion of our audience is watching not live. More than half of the audience. We replay at 5 p.m. Eastern on Game Plus. Streaming the podcast. What good does it do them to know that Florida's leading Anaheim in the first period? So I'm not going to update scores. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says you have to be a narcissist to be in Jerry Jones' position. Is that where we want to go with this conversation? Because I'm okay with it. I don't think you ever have to be a narcissist. Ever. No. And I've dealt with many. You know, back to that Belichick thing. And I'm enjoying the discussion. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I don't know Bill Belichick. Never met him. You can't argue with what he's done. And to clarify, I'm not saying he's a narcissist. He's probably not, but he might be. I find it really interesting if you want to just, I'm enjoying having the time here to walk this back. Last week on the Monday, a week ago today, the day after the Patriots' last game of the regular season, which was a loss to the Jets, was it not? Belichick says he's going to keep showing up for work every day because that's his job and that's what he's being paid to do. And he'd like to continue doing that. And he also said he'd be willing to relinquish control of personnel if that's what they all agree is best for the Patriots. 4 days later, he's sitting at a news conference with Robert Kraft shaking hands, and he's done. I just don't get that. As I've said, I've been fired a couple of times. When I go, give me my money. F you, see you later. There ain't no news conference. It's torching that bridge. It's never being crossed again. I don't know how you could sit at the table and shake hands and smile, but that's what they do. John Ohm, and we haven't even banged this gong yet. Whoa! Gong. John Ohm says, Rod's show, Rod's rules. Me likey. Well, obviously I like it. And I could do this. You want more stories? when I first started doing sports talk, May 17th, 2010, I was dealing with a consultant out of Toronto, and he said that he had consulted with Bob McGowan, the legendary Bobcat, way back in the day. And he says, Bob just wants to sit in that box for 3 hours, doesn't want to take calls, doesn't want to interview anybody. He just wants to talk, and he could do it. He's got that big of an ego that he just wants to talk for 3 hours. No calls. Text wasn't even a thing back then. I'm like, I don't want to do that. There's a lot of different ways to do sports talk. It's the wild, wild west out there. And the guy didn't care for what I wanted for a show, and we didn't hit it off. Shocking. Wayne in BC, this is hilarious. He says, stop posting the scores since I PVR'd the Canucks game. LOL. Right? That's the whole thing. There's no point sitting here updating the scores. It's not what we do. It's 2024. It's not like it used to be, John in Edmonton, but thank you. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm reading the messages here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, it's important to remember these firings should not always be taken personally. No, but they are. It's personal. Very large amount of time, they're personal. Or at least they have been for me. It's nice to say, but very hard to do. Chad in Lethbridge writes in, he says, crazy watching Patrick Mahomes' helmet crack and break Saturday night. Never seen that one. He says, I'm headed to the Flames Coyotes tomorrow. Hope the Flames show up. Do you think the Flames will trade Markstrom? Well, anybody else see this morning that Jacob Markstrom left practice in the middle of the practice and was replaced by a shooter-tutor? And for those that don't know what that is, they would know what that is at Overtime Hockey Lanes, our overtime sponsor, but that is the canvas that they put up in the net and you shoot at it. Why would Markstrom leave unless he was hurt, or has he been traded? Do I think they'll trade him? I'd like to think not. It's very difficult to sit here and make a prediction of what the Calgary Flames are going to do when they don't know what they're going to do. Listen, I've got an unbelievable amount of respect for Brian Munns. Brian Biggie Munns. That was Frenzy's nickname for him. He's worked in the NHL a long time. And as he said, the Flames don't need to make a decision now. Are they getting run up on that deadline? Won't be long, but they don't need to make a decision today. i.e., are they in a playoff spot? Are they not in a playoff spot? Do they feel they're going to be challenging for a playoff spot? I think we can all agree they should be better. The guy wrote in here earlier, Trevor in Red Deer, says, should they re-sign Lindholm and Hanifin or trade them? Well, they've been trying for at least a year to sign those guys. I think you know the answer to that. They probably should trade them. Where the heck is it? John Ohm says these guys have huge egos. They take it personally. Oh, God. We should do an alternate show. RP After Dark. Where I tell stories. I was telling Serena this story the other day. We had a general manager of the radio station where I worked was being fired. Thank God. But instead of going out the door, see ya, with your stuff in a box, like he'd done to countless amount of people. No, they had to have a big to-do for him. And it ended up, he shouldn't have done it. He should have just laughed. But he ended up turning purple and shaking. And we loved it. He should have just left. But no, let's make a big deal about me. And that's kind of what I feel was the deal with Belichick, but I shouldn't say because I don't know. But the thing with Jerry Jones and with Dallas, I mean, they can fire Mike McCarthy. And to be honest, I think they should. And I'd love to see Mike Vrabel be brought in there. But as long as Jerry Jones is pulling the strings, and you talk to anybody in Dallas and they'll agree, nothing's going to change. And it is nothing short of a minor miracle that they won 3 Super Bowls in 92, 93, and 95. A miracle, given their culture. But maybe the culture was good then and it changed, because that happens too. Jeff Cabillas in Winnipeg writes in and he says, sorry, Rod, but I absolutely, Jordan, loved the result of the Packers-Cowboys result. Well, you can sit and relish on that all week until they go into San Francisco. Maybe they'll upset San Francisco. I'm talking about it as much as I am today because it's my job. Overall, I'm not thinking about it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, after dark, when we hear the really good stories. Now, you got to come to a sports banquet for those. Oh, my God. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here in the Florida studio. I did not differentiate between afternoon games versus night games. And I should have with our Bet Regal breakaway bets. Dave in Winnipeg, thank you for inserting some sanity or a change of pace anyways. Dave in Winnipeg writes in and he says, hi, Rod. Broke my heart watching the Dolphins lose like that. How does that even happen? Well, if you're heartbroken by the way the Dolphins lost, you're a Dolphins fan, and I would think that you're following what happened. Listen, the other night, Saturday night, the night of the game, we were in the press box at American Bank Arena, and the guys that work up there, Jonah and Eddie and I, were talking about this. And they said, and they're largely Dolphins fans, but they're originally from the Northeast. But they've been here long enough, they cheer for the Dolphins now. And they're like, the first 13 weeks of the regular season, the Dolphins were the #1 seed in the AFC. And they were kicking the crap out of everybody. Do we need to remind you when they beat Denver 70-20? Remember that? But after that week 13, they got progressively worse. Injuries piled up, not the least of which was Tyreek Hill getting hurt on the Monday night game here against Tennessee. And he did look good the other night, didn't he? The Cheetah. But he can't do it alone. And they lost that game to the Titans at home. And then they lost to the Bills in the last game of the regular season. It's their own fault. They're blaming injuries for the loss and their losses down the stretch. But the fact of the matter is they didn't play their best. All they had to do was win one game. And they'd have been playing at home Saturday night. But they couldn't do it. It doesn't break my heart. What breaks my heart has been having to listen to Dolphins talk. When I was doing the Rider show in Regina 2.5 hours a day, people told me they got sick of Rider talk. The non-Rider fans. The Rider fans couldn't get enough of it. But that was only 2.5 hours a day. Imagine 24 hours a day. Dolphins talk on 3 all-sports stations. It's unbelievable. And whining. Why is Dak getting all the pub? Why isn't Tua? Tua's got better numbers, blah, blah, blah. Well, now they're both watching on television. So it doesn't break my heart. In life, you generally get what you deserve. On the field and off. And the Dolphins are proving it. We'll be back at a sports update right after this. 902-518-3033, the number to reach us here in the studio or on the streams. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
All right. You got me? You got me? Okay, that's what I was calling you for and blowing up your phone. So do we have Jeff Reinbold? Okay. Hey, we're having a day. Martin Luther King Day. And we're the only ones on the air. How about that? People wondering where Moose has been. He has had travel issues trying to get from Toronto to the Queen City for curling coverage. He'll be with us later in the week. Okay, we got Coach Reinbold now. There's been connection issues, but we got him now. Coach, if you don't mind, can we jump right into it? I guess let's start with the Cowboys, if you don't mind, because that's all anybody's talking about. You wouldn't know anybody else played, and for good reason. What happened, Coach?
Well, first of all, the Cowboys didn't play. Again, they showed up, but that is not the Cowboy team that we saw most of the year. I was really shocked, Rod, the way that the Packers were able to run the ball on them. And, we've known that the Cowboys have some issues up front. They're not very big. They're not built that way. But it was a perfect storm, in terms of the Packers. They come out, they are aggressive from the, opening coin toss. They score on their first drive. They get ahead, and then they start to get some confidence. And the Cowboys couldn't get off they were like a fighter who got hit, in the first round and went to the ropes and was just trying to survive, and they couldn't survive it. At halftime, I said that they had 6 possessions, maybe 7 if they steal one in the second half to come back. And they scored. They did a good job in the second half of getting the ball in the end zone and getting field goals. They scored almost every drive of their 6 possessions in the second half. But they had dug themselves a hole they couldn't get out of, and the defense still couldn't stop them in the second half.
Well, here's one for you that I have heard today, and not just from Green Bay Packers. Shouldn't they get some credit for a game plan and Jordan Love having the game of his life?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because I thought the preparation that the Packers did the week before had to have been outstanding, because Matt LaFleur had his guys ready to play. They played extremely well. Obviously, you saw like the Zaire interception for a touchdown. I mean, he sat on that route like he knew it was coming. So that talks to you about the the film study and the amount of preparation that those guys did. That Packer defense had been much maligned over the course of the season. They've got 8 first-round draft choices on that defense, and they haven't played that well. But I tell you, this game they really showed up and really played well. They got the ball back. They sacked the quarterback. Dak threw the 2 pick-sixes, but Dak threw the ball 60 times. That's not a recipe for success, Rod. You know that, and especially in playoff football. The Packers were much better balanced. They ran the ball extremely well. And the thing, if you're a Green Bay fan, that you love is the fact that this is the youngest team in the playoffs and one of the youngest teams in the National Football League. Their tight end receiver rooms are full of first and second year guys, so they're only going to get better.
Play Jerry Jones for a second. Are you bringing Mike McCarthy back? And if not, who are you hiring?
I think the first thing, when you look at this situation in Dallas, and I'm talking as a football guy. I'm not talking about as a journalist. I'm talking as a football guy. We're talking about habitually underachieving, right? This is a team that, for all the shiny silver helmets and the big blue star and all of it all, they have not been successful in the playoffs. And you're measured in pro football by what you do in the playoffs, not what you do in the regular season. The regular season gets you to the playoffs. And so if you look at it, there's been they've been through how many head coaches? They've been through how many quarterbacks? They've been through how many offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators? There's one consistent theme in Dallas through all of it, and it's been the front office and Jerry. And somewhere there's a disconnect. They're not getting – that's too good a football team to be bounced out by the 7th seed in the first round of the playoffs. And, Mike, this is the way it works. I mean, because I'm into business. The coach is going to take the fall. You don't fire the owner, right? And even though maybe you should, you don't fire the owner. And so if there's going to be a guy that's going to pay for it, it's going to be Mike McCarthy. The other thing, think about this, Rod. Dan Quinn went into this weekend. This is the the enormity of these games. Dan Quinn went into this weekend as a red hot head coaching candidate. There was all kinds of talk about him going to Seattle, all over the place. And rightly so, because he's done a great job with the Cowboy defense. And they went out and absolutely got pounded. I mean, your best player, right, a generational talent, a game record in Micah Parsons, has 1 tackle. This is a production-oriented business. He didn't produce. The defense didn't produce. So now Dan Quinn goes from being a hot guy to be a guy. And that's what happens. That's what's at stake in playoff football.
That's why I have a tough time hanging it on the coaches. But as Tillman always said, players, well, maybe everybody said it, but I first heard it from Tillman, players win and coaches lose. And you know that. You say it almost every week. What are the other things you want to talk about? The other 3 games this weekend or the 2 tonight?
I think the storylines this weekend were phenomenal. You got Tyreek Hill going to Kansas City, the coldest game in recent memory. The Bills game getting pushed back because of the snow. But I think the one that was the most compelling to me was the story of the Lions. Because here's a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 32 years. They win a divisional championship. And who comes in to play them in the first round? the quarterback that in 2008, I think it was, they drafted with the first pick of the first round. And that guy, as much as he did in Detroit, couldn't win a playoff game. And you give him up for a guy that, frankly, the Rams gave up on, right? They gave up on Jared Goff. And Jared Goff comes out, and I think he's 20 of 24. And the ball he threw at the end of the game, the completion to St. Brown, was an absolute bullet. It was exactly where it needed to be. That was good coverage. And he got it in there and made a play at a critical moment. So, I'm a big Matt Stafford fan, but I was really pleased for Dan Campbell and the Lions organization. And, you saw that. I don't know if you saw this, Rob, but they did a cutaway to a season ticket holder, had been there, season ticket holder like 60 years, right? And you imagine the agony that he's gone through. And now for the Lions to have won a playoff game, get a chance to hold another at home in Detroit, there's people crying in the stands. That's how big that win was for the city of Detroit.
You're an American. We've been to all the cities. They still say the Lions are number one in Detroit, despite how bad they've been. They're still the most favorite franchise. Forget about the Red Wings, the Lions, whoever, right? The Lions are still it. And I love that Stafford said afterwards, Coach, if you saw his quote, he goes, I'm happy for them. That tells you the kind of guy Matt Stafford is. 12 seasons he was there. I'm happy they won.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, because he knows the struggle. He knows the pain. He knows the grind that they've been on. And, he got redemption, and he got his Super Bowl when he went to LA, and he's not done yet because he said he's going to come back and play some more. And you saw some of the things that he can do. He's still a high level player, but he also had tremendous relationships in Detroit. He and his wife were extremely active in the community. They did a lot of great things in Detroit. Obviously, when you go through as many years as he was there, as much turmoil and as much struggle, it's the struggle, it's the grind that makes the relationship, right? And I think that Matthew Stafford will always have a soft spot in his heart for Detroit and the people there, the fans there, because the fans are, relentless in their love of the Lions.
For fun, who do you see winning tonight?
I really think that Buffalo should win the game. That doesn't mean they're gonna, but again, we know, look at that this weekend, the team that should win doesn't always win, particularly when you get to playoff football. But if Buffalo doesn't win, it's because they're not able to stop the run by Pittsburgh. Because I cannot see Mason Rudolph being good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills. You look at you always go to the quarterback matchup first. And is Josh Allen versus Mason Rudolph a fair fight? The judges would say probably not. We might have to stop this one in the seventh, right? Because he's cut and bleeding. But the game isn't played that way. You got to get breaks. You got to and the weather, if it's as bad as it's supposed to be, the weather can be an evening factor in this game. And Mike Tomlin has proven how resilient he is and how resilient his football team is, because they were left for dead 6 weeks ago.
And Eagles, Bucks?
Well, again, same deal. Look at the rosters. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles, Rod, were 1 minute and 30 seconds away from being Super Bowl champions 12 months ago. And right now, they are struggling. Right? I think they've lost 3 or 4. They're not playing well in any single phase. But you look at the roster and you say, this team's one of the best teams in the National Football League. They got best right tackle in football, best center in football. You got a great quarterback. You got one of the top receivers in the National Football League. You got good tight ends. Go to the defense, and they can run pass rushers at you too deep, right? You got 2 corners that are supposed to be elite corners, and they haven't played like that for most of the year. But if this football team, if the Eagles decide that it's, let the coaches stay in the locker room. We're going to go out, we're going to win, right? And sometimes teams take over like that. If the Eagles do that, they should win. If the Eagles go through the motions and Hurts isn't effective and he throws interceptions and they can't run the ball, then Tampa Bay can win, because Baker Baker's, a reclamation project too. He's a Jared Goff story. He was given up by the Browns, and he was given up by the Rams, and he's found a home there. So, it's going to be an interesting game to watch. It's really, really going to be a fun game to watch. I kind of think that the Eagles are going to, take charge. That the locker room is going to take over. Hassan Reddick and some of those older veterans are going to take charge and say, hey, let's take care of this thing, because we're too good a football team to be bounced in the first round.
I say don't ever bet against Baker. Coach, you're a pro's pro on and off the field, on and off the air. Enjoy the games.
All right, my man. I'll see you next week. Aloha.
You bet. The great Jeff Reinbold. We'll be right back with Audience Takeover and Overtime after this on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, and the streams.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Hey, Randy, are the Flames going to trade Markstrom or Michelle? Let me know at Overtime Hockey Lanes, where they got a day camp going on right now, so they're probably not watching the show. Check them out at Overtime Hockey Lanes on social media and see what's all the buzz at where skill and fun collide, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. It is big fun. Would I steer you wrong? We do have more football news today. Good work from the CFL to stay in the news. If this is good news, veteran quarterback Jeremiah Masoli has a new deal with the Ottawa Red Blacks. The 35-year-old was due a $100,000 bonus today as part of his previous agreement with the CFL team. Ottawa could have released the veteran to avoid paying the stipend, but the two sides agreed to a revised contract for the upcoming season. NHL tonight, by the way, because there's a ton of matinees going on Martin Luther King Day. Tonight, though, it's the LA Kings at Carolina. I'll take the Canes to win. Islanders at Minnesota. I'll take the Wild to win. Nashville at Vegas. I got to think the Golden Knights are going to finally turn it around. Colorado at Montreal. That should be a laugher. Avalanche victory predicted by this guy. In Philadelphia at St. Louis, I'll take the Blues. Sports update is, that sounds like a country song, doesn't it? I'll take the Blues. Brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, The Beekeeper. One man's brutal campaign for vengeance takes on national stakes after he is revealed to be a former operative of a powerful and clandestine organization known as Beekeepers. From the director of Fury and End of Watch, starring Jason Statham, Josh Hutcherson, Jeremy Irons, Dan Lee, Minnie Driver, and Felicia Rashad. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Boy, just an unbelievable day. Can you believe it? For sports news, Raptors home tonight to the Boston Celtics, by the way. Couple of NFL playoff games at doubleheader. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Eagles at Tampa Bay. Really sounds to me like Coach Reinbold's got Philadelphia to win. I'm going to stay with the Bucks. But, man, we covered a lot of ground. And if you missed it, of course, the replay, well, you're watching now, so you didn't miss it. But we replay at 5 p.m. Eastern daily on Game Plus TV. Of course, you can always check out the streams. And Key Radio, we're live every day, 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. Right, Ryan Radio? It has been a day. Wonderful job by the IKS crew. And we'll see you tomorrow, God willing, noon Eastern, right here on Game Plus and the Key.
Who has more fun than us?